thing that I think is really important is we're not individually learning how to be an individual therapist on our own in a room with other people. There's a commitment, a shared learning environment where each person and their learning needs and their life history and their attachment processes and their current energy level and whatever it is, that there's a shared learning environment, and we are learning in a container that we're building together. It's not an individual learning. This individual learning happens, but it's not an individual learning. And then that shared project of learning together means an engagement with each other that is deep, supportive, challenging, rich, annoying, frustrating, anger making. It's boring. It's everything, because everything of the human condition will be stirred in some form or other, and talked about, welcomed even. Like, not just, we won't just have these experiences, but maybe we'll also speak to them, and try to understand them in the context of the learning. So I think that feels important, because that even the way we set up the room, we're not sitting in rows looking at a whiteboard or a PowerPoint. We're sitting in a circle where the learning is lateral. And I think learning also includes the learning of the facilitators. I learn from the students. I learn from the process of teaching. I learn from the ruptures and repair work that happens in the space. I feel sometimes I'm at the very edge of what I know, or what I have known before. It's very rarely boring to me, but yeah. So there's something about that. It's this lateral learning, community learning, and in some ways, we don't sort of advertise it per se, but actually it's the learning for community that I think is so important. And I think in the world we live in, learning communities, living skills is really vital. If the world keeps getting hotter, if the wars in other parts of the world get closer, we'll need skills for better community living. Yeah.
And for someone who is perhaps very new to this kind of group learning, and even I remember for me, it's like the word group process makes sense separately, but doesn't make sense together. How would you describe like something like a group process or like a group learning? What would it? Yeah.
Well, if you slow down into the process, the here and now process of joining, of learning, if you include a lot of the felt sense experience that we often exclude, if that's part of the conversation, then we are starting to understand ourselves as being somewhat made, shaped, emerging in this process of dynamic. You're curious about that. Like, we're learning about ourselves. We're learning about how we turn up. We learn about what our fears and longings and needs are for connection. What is safe and not safe? What does it mean for us? How does it show up in our bodies when we feel unsafe? What do we do? What do we reach for? And so, it's like a lab, an experiment is going on, and we're showing up, we're slowing down to notice the experience of showing up. We're noticing the experience of our showing up might have on another person's showing up. We get curious about that. I don't know, is that an answer? That's my best answer. It's not group therapy exactly, because we're not taking that individual down into their own sort of personal work. it's more the focus is on how we're showing up together and what sort of group are we building together and what aspects of myself can show up in this place, what aspects are harder to bring. Yeah.